I just feel like I've had a lot of battles up here. Why does this do this every time? Well, hello. Welcome to my TED Talk. Hi guys. I can't do a video with these. I'm wearing contacts and glasses at the same time. That's just not cool. Hi. Welcome back to Skin Psychologies Part 2. This is long overdue. I uploaded the first one. Okay, so I uploaded the first one about nearly 2 years ago. It was the 14th of July, 2018. This is very long overdue. I am very, very sorry. But if you haven't watched part 1, I'm going to leave a card up here and I'm going to leave a link in the description box. That will tell you all about my experiences with eczema in my skin from being born to primary school. Yeah, now moving on to part 2, which discusses secondary school to uni, my academic life, and the beginnings of romantic relationships, and that was a stress in itself. Let's start with secondary school. So secondary school in the UK, you are between the ages of 11 and 16. So this is the puberty stage. And for everyone, puberty sucks. Girls, let's be honest, you get boobs, but they're not really boobs. You're just very self-conscious of how you look and how you stand, and now you start smelling differently, you grow hair in places, like it's just a whole mess. And on top of all that, I have eczema. I think I started puberty pretty young. I started my periods when I was 11, and I think it was the week before I started secondary school, I got my period. So the whole of secondary school was just about growing up and all these changes to my body. My skin here it wasn't too bad. I'm not gonna lie, it wasn't the worst I've had. And that's probably because around the ages of 12, 13, I somehow developed acne. I have no pictures of this because back in the day we didn't really have like picture phones, and you didn't really take photos like how we do now. But it kind of started in the middle of my forehead right here, and it spread down to my cheeks, and my cheeks were covered. Nowadays I get one spot and it's gone within a couple of days. This, I was having like 10 in a cluster all at once. I'm gonna take a step back for a second and just talk about growing up in the UK as a mixed girl. It was difficult. Around this time, I didn't understand how to do my hair. That was the first thing. And my mum didn't know because she has straight hair. My dad didn't know because he had no hair. And that was already an issue for me. I didn't really feel very pretty. I didn't know what to do with myself. Then developing acne on top of having eczema, I just thought, well, this is it. I am just that ugly duckling friend. I wore glasses. For some reason, I really wanted braces. Never had braces. There's nothing wrong with my teeth, but I wanted them because everyone else had them. And I just thought, if you've got the whole shebang, you got the acne, you got the glasses, you might as well get braces. And yeah, there was a lot going on. My hair was a mess. My skin was a mess. I was a mess. I was a very withdrawn teen. I kept to myself a lot. As a female, I'm lucky enough that I can use makeup to disguise any of my flaws. So the first thing I did was go to like Superdrug, because that's what you did back then, and I bought some concealer. The concealer that I bought was from Collection 2000. Collection 2000. It was $1.99, and it was one of those like twisty up concealers in a stick. It looked like a lip balm. This concealer was too light for me. Even the darkest shade was too light for me, but I used it anyway. And I probably made it look a lot worse. It probably looked crusty on my face, but for me, I felt better because I could cover it up slightly. But around this time, let's just say 12-year-old me, not a happy bunny. Not a happy bunny at all. I remember laying in bed and sitting there and think, who the hell is ever gonna date you? I remember I used to have these thoughts all the time. Because I used to see some girls in my school, in my class, and they were just pretty from the get-go. Like, they were just, I'm like, do you wake up like that? Because we didn't really wear makeup back then. So like, is this just your face? Because you are stunning. And then there's me, I roll out of bed, just a spotty, dry mess. Not only that, frizzy hair. I used to sit there and just wonder, not only who is gonna ever fancy you, if you ever did get lucky and someone found you attractive, how are you ever going to get intimate with them? How are you going to let them like touch you? You can't even touch you. Sometimes your skin hurts. Sometimes you feel rough, you know? I just felt very, very, very unattractive at times. So what I'm realizing now, as a 31-year-old growing up in the UK, and also being part of social media, what 12-year-old me was experiencing was also a disconnect from what I was seeing around me and what I saw in the mirror. Everything around me was not designed for me. Every magazine I picked up, anything I watched on TV, all the makeup that I was using, it was never for my skin tone and it was never for my complexion. Growing up in the UK, you didn't really see black people on TV, let alone mixed people on TV. You were more likely to see a mixed person, but maybe not mixed in the way I was mixed, as in Asian and black, because that was a bit less common than a white and black mix. But even still, those were few and far between. Subconsciously, I was soaking that up. The magazines I used to read, if anyone remembers Shout magazine and Cosmo, Miss, was there a magazine called Miss? But all those kind of magazines, they're still out now. Every page that you would turn to had white models. White models with flowing hair, and it's a bit ironic that I've straightened my hair for this video, but basically growing up, this is what I wanted. I wanted straight hair that looked like the people in the magazines. I didn't have that. We didn't have the technology for that. Well, we probably did, but I didn't have access to it. And I couldn't achieve it, so I felt bad about myself. I couldn't achieve any beauty routine that you see in a magazine. It was like, do X, Y, and Z. I could do X and Y, but if it comes to Z, it's like, put your hair up in a ponytail. I'm like, my hair don't do that. My hair stands up, like, it don't just sit, like, do you know what I mean? It didn't work for me. And instead of realizing that that is not for me, I felt bad that I couldn't fit it. I guess I had very low self-confidence growing up, and it showed because I was very shy. I've always been shy, which I have stated in my first video, but I thought that was to do with eczema, whereas now it was to do with eczema. That was a starting point, but now it's a bit more like I never was able to grow into myself because the person I was trying to grow into just wasn't me. It wasn't ever meant to be me. And it was also around this time in secondary school that I noticed that colorism is a thing. Even though I didn't know what colorism was back then, and I kind of brushed it off, but sometimes I think about certain things that people have said to me. I'm very bad at ruminating, and I'm thinking it's something to do with anxiety. I will get to that shortly. But I can take something that someone has said to me years ago and constantly think about it and replay it in different ways and think, what did they mean? And I wish I could let some things go, but I just can't. And it's one of my worst traits. But around secondary school times, there was a lot of phrases thrown at me that were basically people trying to put me in a box or try to decipher me. And it was words like, I wrote these down, coolie. I still don't actually understand what that means. I'm gonna have to Google that. Lighty, dark skin, half caste, mixed race, and stuff like that. And I feel like it's just a way to categorize how I look. I've actually been asked if I was coolie quite a lot growing up. And the way that people asked me, it always seemed like it was some kind of compliment. Little did I know, it's actually a derogatory term. It was given to those who are of Asian descent, low paid, unskilled, and usually carrying other people's baggages to and from places. Lighty obviously refers to someone with a lighter complexion. It's generally used as some form of compliment. However, we all know that being considered a lighty does come with its negative stereotypes. Dark skin refers to someone with a deeper complexion, and unfortunately in many cultures having darker skin is less desirable. This is definitely prevalent in Asian and Black communities. Mixed race refers to someone who has parents of different races, like myself. My mum is Asian and my dad is African. Half caste is a very derogatory term in a sense that the word caste has come from the Latin word castus, which means pure. So you're calling someone half pure when you call them half caste. Pure meaning the white race, and anything else mixing with that is said to dilute the purity of that race. I don't need a label. My name's Zainab, just call me Zainab. Regardless of what you call me, my skin tone remains the same. The preference of wanting to be lighter skinned than darker has always been prevalent, and I remember this one time in particular. It was in secondary school and I was getting ready to go into English class, and we always used to like wait in line outside the classroom along the corridor. And I was just talking to this guy and he said the word lighty. I don't even remember if he was talking about me or someone else, but he used the phrase lighty. And this friend I say, came over and she literally said, yeah, but Zainab's not a lighty though, she's dark skinned. I remember the way she said it. It was a lot of like, there was a tone in her voice. I don't care if you call me light skin or dark skin, red skin, yellow skin, I don't care. Because regardless of what anyone sees me as, my colour has not changed. It's all relative to whoever's talking to me. If you want to know my skin tone, it's 410 in Fenty and it's Macau in NARS. That's my skin tone. But we don't speak anymore. Anyway, that was my early teens. I was given a prescription from my doctor, which is now actually discontinued. So I hope it wasn't bad for my skin, but I used that stuff. It was like a paste, and it came in a little tub like this with a tiny little spatula, and you would have to like scoop it out and place it on the acne and leave it on overnight, and in the morning wash it off. It would literally suck the life out of these spots and they would disappear. I had acne for about 6 months before I actually went to the doctors, and within like 2 months that stuff cleared up and never came back. Anyway, that was my early teens. And moving on to intimacy now. I know a lot of my subscribers here are quite young, and I get messages from some people that are teenagers wondering how is their skin going to affect their romantic life. And I think the point is, if someone doesn't want to be with you because of your skin, then they weren't meant for you in the first place. There was one boy that I had a crush on for about 6 years. He never even saw me. When I crush hard, all right? I had my first boyfriend at 15 years old, and this is literally 5 years of no one paying any attention to me, and then all of a sudden, this new boy comes to our school, and he was Canadian. Yes, he was foreign. He was French Canadian, but his family was from Congo, and he just had this kind of like, he was just very different from the British boys in my school. Obviously, he had a different kind of swag. 15-year-old swag. And I liked him, but again, I'm very withdrawn. Like, very withdrawn. And when he started paying attention to me, I'm just like, yo, is this real? Like, what's going on here? And I just couldn't fathom why someone would show interest in me, and I'm sitting there like, if you come over here, you're gonna see all the flaws. I don't want you to see all the flaws. I just wasn't ready. Eventually, I did kind of open up, and I did allow him to see like my skin and stuff. Going through to college now, oh, college was a fun old time. I mean, college is a lot less time spent there compared to school. School is like 5-6 years, isn't it? But college is only 2 years. And I felt like now I could be whoever I wanted because nobody knew me. Towards the end of school, I had started wearing contacts. I wear contacts now, but these were coloured contacts. And in the first year of college, I also bought my first set of GHDs, and we all know how that turned out. But again, this is where it's coming from. Like, I wanted to be like the people that I saw in the magazines. I was wearing coloured contacts. I had straight hair all the time. My hair was never curly. From college, I fried my hair. It was very evident that my mind was so warped in what I thought beauty was. And the coloured contacts that I had were green and grey. And it's weird that some people used to come up to me like, are those your real eyes? And I'm like, you think? Like, you can't tell? Honestly, it was nice to have some form of attention because it was something that I'm not used to at all. Another thing I noticed is that I would get a lot more attention when my hair was straight. I feel like I came across more intriguing. I don't know why, because anyone can straighten their hair, right? Like I said, I never knew how to do my hair, so it was an easy way to maintain my hair by having straight hair. And that was my life through college. Straight hair that went from literally, where it wasn't this long, but it was like down to my boobs, and it turned into a bob. I don't care what anyone says, there is no such thing as heat trained hair. It's heat damage. If you wash your hair and that shit don't curl, that is heat damage. I had a boyfriend in college, and we broke up during my second year of university. Very bad breakup on my half. I got broken up with after my birthday, after he took me out for my birthday to see The Lion King. The Lion King has never felt so sad in all my life. I remember going to my organic chemistry exam, finishing the exam, and you know when you have an exam and you can't leave within the last like 15 minutes, you have to sit there? I just burst into tears. I was so upset. I was crying. I think people around me were probably thinking, "Rah, did she really just flunk that test so bad that she's crying?" But I didn't. I got an A in that test, but I just remember the heartbreak that I felt. I'm good now, don't worry. After that breakup, I went back to secluded Zainab. I literally went to uni and went home. Uni, went home. I never socialised with anyone. And that's just how I handled the breakup. I was fine. I just needed my own space. I didn't start integrating back into like social activities until the last year of my uni. That was a tough time because what happened was when I turned 21, I've mentioned this in my other videos, something went crazy with my skin. Head to toe, covered in eczema, covered. And this is where it gets a bit weird. During this time, bearing in mind, I've just been through a breakup, and then like a year later, my skin was like the worst it's ever been. Every inch of my skin was covered, even my hands were covered again. I felt like absolute crap. And I think I started using social media around here to try and vent my frustrations. I found a blog called Eczema Voice, and I was just going through a really rough time with my skin, and I started reading people's comments about how they're coping and they're just venting or whatever. And I read this comment and I was like, oh my god, this sounds like me. And then I realized it was me from like a couple of months previous that I had written out this comment, and then months down the line I'd forgotten I'd written that post and found it again. When I saw it, ooh, it's really weird because every time I come across this post, it always brings back the same reaction. I'm just gonna read it out. I'll try. Hey everybody, I don't know where to start. I had eczema since birth and it peaked about the age of 7. It was so bad on the back of my wrists that it was hard to bend them because of cracks and stiffened skin. Even my knuckles were bad. I'd itch so much that I'd rub them on the carpet. I'm sure I've told you guys that. It eased off to bearable as I grew up with minor breakouts, but now, age 21, I've had the worst flare-up and it's taken over my whole body. I do have it all over normally, but the rashes now are so big and itchy it's crazy. My stomach and back are covered in light and dark patches. I don't even know my real colour. Today I caught myself in a shop mirror and I can see it's affected my face near my ears. Why does this do this every time? I wanted to cry. I can't hide it anymore. My skin is hard and flaking, especially on my shoulders. I went to the docs and he saw me for 30 seconds, no joke, and sent me home with E45. I cried and screamed, and then he sent out a referral to a dermatologist. Worst of all, it's on the backs of my hands again. They were practically normal as I haven't seen eczema there in over 10 years. Now it's hard, cracked, light patches everywhere. I'm going to a barbecue as we speak and I've bought bandages to cover it. I'm so ashamed of it and people are not very understanding. I can see them staring and this is so stressful. I hope everyone here finds a way to deal with this, if not ease their symptoms. Good luck. I'm so positive at the end, what the hell? I remember this day, as clear as day. We went to the Barrio Festival, 2010. The Barrio Festival is basically a Filipino festival. It was a really hot day, it was July. My skin was bad, but I was wearing makeup and I thought it was cool. And when we were leaving this festival, we were going to a barbecue straight after, also in West London. And we went to the shop to stop for drinks. So I think a couple of my friends went in the store and I waited outside. And as they walked in, I caught my reflection in the glass of the shop. And honestly, it almost like took my breath away because I was like, have I been walking around like this all day? Makeup fades throughout the day. And all along my jawline here, it looked like it was white and my skin was brown. And it was all along my jaw. And I just thought, I how have I not noticed this? I obviously went to this festival fully made up, but as time goes on, I've been outside for hours and it's just faded away. The whole sides of my face were like white. It's like the top layers of my skin have peeled off. I'm just standing there outside this shop and the urge to just go home was so strong, and I'm just like, I can just leave right now. My friends have gone in the shop, I can just leave and just be like, I felt sick, I can go. My fight or flight response kicked in right there when I saw my face in that window. I mean, I must have felt so strongly that I wrote that right there and then. Last night I spent so long trying to look for this comment. It was very difficult for me to find it, but I did. I'll leave a link to my exact page in the description, and if you search for beezee, which is the username I used there, you can find my comment. Oh, I remember that day. I was so upset. And it's just like, looking back, that was 10 years ago, literally almost to the day, 10 years ago. And I feel like I am so much stronger now, but I'm just saying, reading what I wrote all those years ago, it hurts me. Because I must have been so self-conscious and so scared of what people might think of me. That's awful. And I just feel like if I could go in the past and just give myself a hug, I would, and tell myself, like, you'll be fine. This is nothing. Just have fun. But obviously at the time, that's not what's going through your mind. Around that time was when I hit rock bottom with my skin. That was when I was going to the doctors like quite a few times. Like in the space of 2 months, I think I went 3 or 4 times, and they were just sending me back with the same stuff. No one was listening to me. It was getting worse. That same summer is when I wore a dress and my skin was very swollen on my back. And when I got home, my dress was stuck to my back because it was oozing. And it was just, that was the worst experience I've had with my skin. And maybe I was going through withdrawal. I don't know. But honest to God, when I was 21, my skin was 10 times worse than it was now. What I'm going through now is very tame compared to what happened when I was 21. Like 21, I was a different person back then. The day when my skin cleared up, or you know, when it was clearing up, and I was at another house party, because there were so many house parties back in the uni times. And I remember going to the shop with 2 of my guy friends, Rob and Cartel, and I don't know, I must have touched my stomach or something and it was so smooth. They must have thought I was crazy drunk, but I was like, guys, look at my skin. And I lifted up my top. I didn't flash them. I lifted up my top so they could see my stomach. And I was like, look how smooth it is. And they're probably sitting there thinking, yeah, skin is smooth, what? And I was like, touch it. I don't even know if they remember this. They probably did not understand how bad my skin was for months, for about 6 months, nearly a year. And for some reason, I just wanted to celebrate at that point in time, right there and then in the street. I don't know if they remember. I'll probably ask them if they remember. If there's anything you can take from this video, please don't think that your eczema is going to stop you from having relationships. Like, I've had terrible skin at times, and I have had people see past it. I've had relationships, long ones, short ones, serious ones, not so serious, and it hasn't really affected intimacy unless my skin is really bad. And then obviously I have the right to withdraw from intimacy. That's my choice. But as a whole, no, because generally you talk to people, you interact with people, you share something in common with someone, and that's what gets you talking, and that's what gets you knowing someone. It's not straight to the physical. Unless that's what you want to do, then that's completely fine. That's up to you. But most of my relationships have stemmed from friendships first, and I most likely never even saw it coming. So therefore there was a lot of build up or a lot of trust that goes into getting to that stage, is what I'm saying. So by then they should be comfortable with you, and you should be comfortable with them to show your skin, no matter how bad it may be, and it shouldn't be an issue. I hope that makes sense. I also found in my emails that I had written on quite a few anxiety blogs. I ruminate a lot, I overthink a lot of things, and I think when I was at uni or just leaving uni, I definitely had an issue with it. At this age, you should be out partying, but I didn't want to. And that's another part of social media that can kind of get into your brain, that you should be doing this. You should be out partying. You need to enjoy yourself. You need to be drunk every Friday night in order to say that you have a life. And it wasn't really me, but I did it anyway. But I ended up finding like peace in talking on blogs and stuff. I just feel like I've had a lot of battles up here to do with like confidence and socializing, and I don't know how I come across on like social media or through my videos, but like I'm very like a lone wolf at times. Not to say that I don't like people. I like a very select amount of people, I'll put it that way, and there's only certain people that I can like have close relationships with, whereas some people have hundreds of friends and I can't do it. And it's true, as you get older your circle becomes a lot smaller. I just feel like mine started off very small in the first place. I don't know if anxiety and overthinking and just wondering what people think of you is to do with my skin, but I think it plays a large role because it's a very physical thing, and it's probably something that someone can notice on me before I even open my mouth. So if you've taken anything away from this video, anyone under the age of like 20, please don't worry about your future with like intimacy and relationships. It shouldn't affect you, and there is someone out there for everyone. And some people don't even see eczema as that bad. Like I've told you, some people say to me, I don't even see it on you, Zainab. I'm like, you are joking me, my skin is so bad right now. But some people don't notice it, so please don't stress about it. I spent many a days stressing about it, and in the end it equated to nothing. But yeah, so this is part 2. I hope you enjoyed it. It was very long. I feel like I've just chatted about my life, and it's brought up things, and I'm like, I haven't thought about that in ages, and then it comes out and you just think, oh my gosh. And then when you think about yourself in these past situations, you remember the pain or the panic or how you felt back then, and it's awful, but it's like, look, you've come through it, you're fine. And sometimes when you're in a situation, it seems a lot more painful than it is when you come out the other end. I've actually said this to some of my girlfriends, like, if you're going through an emotion, don't try and deny it. Just embrace that emotion and then move on. But don't try and pretend like it's not happening. So like me with having anxiety about going out, I could just keep pretending and going out and feeling shit the next day. But instead, some days when I wouldn't go out, I would spend my time on forums and vent, because I accepted that I have an issue with going out. And that's how I got past it. But yeah, this is a very long video. But if you've made it to the end, thank you for listening to my TED Talk. I hope I didn't bore you. And I will try and record part 3 a lot sooner than 2 years from now, because that was ridiculous. But if any of you ever want to message me, you can leave a comment down below. I will try my best to reply to as many as I can. You can message me on my regular Instagram, which is beezee_buzz, or you can message me on my skin Instagram, which is tsw_beezeebuzz. But please hit the subscribe button and the notification bell so you don't miss any uploads that I do, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.